Hi, welcome to the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And I have been feeling a little insecure over the past couple days again about doing the podcast, about talking about my experience, but I have to remind myself of why I'm doing it, because I'm not doing it to talk about myself. I'm doing it to help another person who may be struggling. So that's why I'm here. I can't thank you enough. I know I'm a broken record for listening. So at the end of the year, we get a wrap up from Spotify that says how many new followers you have, how many regular listeners we have. Sorry, I was looking at Autumn. Autumn chews her nails. It's weird. And it's like she just, and it comes off like it's kind of gross, but imagine like a person sitting there chewing their nails. That's what she's doing, only it sounds like she's chewing on a carrot. It's like, anyway, I think she just had something caught in her mouth. Sorry. Anyway, I get this wrap up at the end of the year, and what it said last night, I looked at it and it said I had 75% growth, and I have 21 listeners who I am their top podcast. And I was like, that's amazing. I mean, I'm humbled. I'm humbled that somebody would want to listen. I really am. I really am. And that's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for that one person who wants to listen, and I'm helping them get through stuff that's hard, because this stuff is hard. And that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit today is that old way of thinking and how it creeps up. It creeps up so often. Yesterday, I was walking Autumn, the Weimaraner, and I walked further than I usually do because I told you guys that's what I'm trying to do. So I walked further than I normally do, and my head was okay. And this time my back is what was giving out on me. I haven't talked much about it, but I have something really bad's going on with my back. It started after my stroke when I got out of the hospital, and I walked Autumn, and she took off running on the leash and pulled my back muscle to the right of my spine, all the way from my lower back all the way up through my shoulder. And it's just never healed. And I I have not been prioritizing it because I prioritize my head. But this week it's like getting to the point where I can't walk in certain circumstances. Like if something gets out of whack back there, like I can't even take a step. It's like a shooting pain. Anyway, I got back from walking her, and I walked in and I said to my husband, just put me out of my misery. And he was like, what? What is it? I said, it's my head is struggling, and my back. And I said, it's constant. Like I cannot get rid of pain. It's every day. And it's that kind of thinking that can overpower this perseverance and this like drive that I have to continue to grow. And no matter what, you get up, you turn off your wanter and you do the next right thing. But I'm only human, and I do have that old way of thinking that creeps back in, that feeling sorry for myself. And I'm not beating myself up for it by any means. Like, I have permission to feel sorry for myself sometimes. Like, I need to. I always talk about that little girl inside of me. And sometimes you just have to make her feel okay, you know? But when I'm feeling this way, and I got out of that pretty quickly. I just needed to complain, you know? I just needed to complain and somebody to hear me complain. And so that happened, you know, he listened and that was the end of it. I said sometimes I just have to complain, and I don't do that very often. And that was the end of it. But I do forget to pray. I do forget to call my sponsor. And I was reminded of all of that this morning. That's what the topic was. And that's so funny because my sponsor reached out to me this morning, and I said, you know, when I don't feel good, I isolate. Um, what I didn't realize until this moment is that's when I don't feel good emotionally, because physically, if I don't feel good, it trickles into my emotions because it just gets hard. I get tired of it. Um, and I can not do the next right thing. I can not turn off my wanter. And I know I'm doing it. I know that I'm not doing the next right thing. I know that I'm feeling sorry for myself. I know that I'm not calling my sponsor. I know that I'm not taking care of my back, and yet I do it anyway. It's like I'm feeding that that old way of thinking, you know, I'm fueling it so that I can give myself excuses to break free from my recovery. And that's not okay. But again, I'm giving myself grace, and I can do that as long as I don't do it for very long and I pick back up, you know. I've been trying to focus on self-care this week. I haven't done a great job at it because um, certain things have come up, like I needed to go in and get my permanent crown, which was terrible. I talked about that yesterday. My mom and my sister came over the day before that, which I wanted. And yet it was more difficult for me to relax. And I wouldn't trade their visit for anything. So I'm not complaining about it by any means, but it's these things that I'm constantly prioritizing. And sometimes I need to prioritize things ahead of rest. I don't know. That's just how it happens. But today I plan on prioritizing rest. I plan on doing some helpful things for my back. I have some tools. I have a like massage cushion thing that I can use. I bought it years ago for $100, and that is the best purchase I've ever made. It's one of those rolling massage things that you just plug in and stick on a chair. It's amazing. So I'm going to do that today. I also have, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like you hook it two patches to either side of your back, and then you turn it on, and it's kind of like an electric pulse that like tightens the muscles. So I do that for about 10 minutes and apply some heat. And what I need to do is do it regularly. And I'm not doing that. I'm making excuses for not prioritizing my well-being, my physical well-being. And you know where that leaves me. It leaves me telling my husband to put me out of my misery. So that's what I want to do today is prioritize that. You know me, I'm thinking, oh, I want to wrap some presents today. Oh, I want to make a candle today. I've yet to make a candle, you know. It's that setting that one goal that I was talking about yesterday. I want to set that backup goal still. So my priority today, my goal is to take care of myself, my health, And I have that backup goal. Okay, but if I have time, I want to wrap some presents, you know. I'm not perfect. Progress, not perfection. Um, what I heard this morning was a lot about giving to others what has been freely given to us. And sometimes when I'm feeling sorry for myself, that is the most helpful, is to do things like record my podcast or reach out to another alcoholic, reach out to another stroke survivor, um, and and listen. Like I was talking about yesterday, like sit undisturbed and listen. I feel like for all that I have been gifted in my program, in my life, that I have been able to go from um, knocking on death's door to standing and being grateful. I owe it to other people around me to give what was so freely given to me. When I was still drinking, I was not able to see things differently. I was not able to see that there was a solution. I was truly blind to what was wrong with me. And somehow I was escorted by someone or something into this program. And somehow I have been escorted through the steps and I have been gifted willingness to do it. I somehow was finally able to see that there is a solution and it can work for me. Um, Somebody mentioned this morning the 11th step prayer, and I haven't focused on that for quite some time. And I just want to read through it for my own benefit because you know this is a selfish podcast, and hopefully this can help those of you who are listening just think about these key ideas this morning. So, when you're feeling like you're putting self-inflicted suffering upon yourself, remember that everything is actually all right. Not everything is not going to be all right. Everything already is all right. If you have the time to sit and push play and listen, everything is all right now. So I'm going to go ahead and read the 11th step prayer and just see where it goes. I'll probably interrupt and tell you like what each line means to me. And that I think is going to be a healthy exercise for me. So let's get started. Lord, make me a channel of thy peace. I mean, that alone is like telling me, breathe. Like instead of letting my thinker think, turn my thinker off, turn my wanter off, and just let me be a channel of the good stuff so that I can help others. Yeah, this whole prayer is about helping others, giving what was freely given to me. Where there is hatred, may I bring love. I talked about hatred 2 days ago. That lady who came out of the Christmas market, the last thing I was thinking was love, honestly. And yesterday, after 24 hours of thinking on how can I react to somebody who spreads hatred like that, love. Well, I think I said gratitude, and I think that's where love comes from. If I can find appreciation for what's going on in my life, if I can find appreciation for my faith that has built out of nowhere, then I can bring love to any environment where there might be that kind of hatred. That where there is wrong, may I bring the spirit of forgiveness. I try to do that, but I struggle with like being am I being too forgiving? Am I being a doormat? That's what it feels like sometimes. And I don't know the answer to that. I'm just kind of sharing what's coming to mind this morning. Where there is discord, may I bring harmony. I'm trying not to add to confrontations, to arguments and stuff. I want to try to not take on the responsibility of the problem, but at least not contribute to the problem. Where there is error, may I bring truth, being honest to others and honest to myself. Where there is doubt, may I bring faith. This is really an internal I don't want to say battle, or struggle because that comes across very negatively, but it's like a tug of war going on inside of me. I'm pulling towards doubt and then I'm trying to pull my faith back towards that side. And it happens every day. It happens every day. And that's why I have to do all of these same things every day, pray, do my podcast, go to my meetings. All of these things are backing the side of the tug of war that pulls the faith back in. That where there is despair, may I bring hope. I try to, um, when I'm hearing somebody suffering in ways that either I can't even imagine because they've lost their husband or something like that, all I can do is listen, number one, and be confident and share my own hope, my experience with hope. I shared yesterday with a friend in recovery I've shared this twice recently about when I bought the stickers and I needed to reward myself for the days that I felt hope because I didn't feel it every day. So I like to share that experience, hoping that they can pull something from it, find a way to reward themselves for doing the next right thing. That where there are shadows, may I bring light. Another thing I try not to do lately, this is something I've been trying to do for quite some time now. I don't always succeed at it, but when I hear some kind of terrible news, I try not to share it with the next person, whether that means not sharing it with my kids or not sharing it with my husband. I have this idea that if I can stop that story where it is, then it's not going to weigh other hearts down. I think there are some things that need to be shared in order for us to learn from them. For example, I shared with my daughter before she was getting in the car and driving here about the family friend of ours that passed away in a car accident. Recently because I wanted her to be aware that it only takes an instance. Do not text and drive. I don't know if that's what happened, but I'm just saying it's these small things that we do that in an instance can change our lives in an instant. Reaching for the radio, reaching for your phone, swatting a fly out of your car, it's anything can cause life-changing events to happen or life-ending events to happen. That where there is sadness, I may bring joy. Um, Another thing that I struggle, well, I feel like I struggle with, but yet I hear it happen when I'm talking to somebody who is going through a very sad season in their life, talking to them and letting them share about it. And eventually I hear a laugh, like I hear that hope come in. And so I think that just by showing up and being available for other people, that they can share their sadness, which divides it in half, right? And that leaves space for bringing some joy into their life. And it takes time. Lord, grant that I may seek to comfort than to be comforted. That was probably the biggest challenge for me in early sobriety when I started learning this prayer was stop trying to get everybody to pay attention to me. Stop seeking that comfort that really I need to be giving to myself and try comforting other people. And what I found that when I comfort other people, it's comforting me to understand than to be understood. That released a lot of animosity, a lot of resentments that are those kind of ongoing daily building of resentments. When something happens, you have an interaction with somebody and then you leave and you're thinking, well, they didn't do this, or this is how they hurt me. Instead, think, okay, what situation are they going through in their life right now? And why might they be unbalanced? And they weren't purposely out to hurt me. If I'm hurt, I hurt me. I let them hurt me and try to be more cognizant of what's going on in other people's lives instead of always thinking about myself, to love than to be loved. And that's what I'm trying to do in this recovery period in my life. And that is to when some it's like what we hear in the program, we're going to love you until you love yourself. I try to do that. It is by self-forgetting that one finds. It is by forgiving that one is forgiven. It is by dying that one awakens to eternal life. Yeah, I don't have anything to say about that. That is that's just it makes me get quiet. I love this prayer. I really do. And one thing that and I'll end on this. One thing that somebody brought up today was, do I serve my thoughts or do my thoughts serve me? It's like that feeling when I was drinking that my thoughts were just chaotic, that I had no control over them, that my thoughts are what led me and I needed to chase them. That's not the way that I live today. Um, I live intentionally. So I make decisions throughout the day of what is going to happen today and what I'm gonna feel today. Sure, sometimes that plan gets interrupted and I don't get to feel happy all day because I heard some bad news or I'm feeling more pain today than I usually do or something like that. So life doesn't always go as expected, but I do try to be more intentional with where I let my thoughts go. I can, because of practice, identify when I'm getting that old behavior, that those old thoughts come back. And through practice, I can say, no, wait a minute, put up that detour sign that and say there is no through traffic here. when the thoughts are going down the wrong path. And the way that I try to redirect them is, like my psychiatrist told me, is to get up from wherever I am where those negative thoughts are living, physically get up and move into another area. Whether that's in the house, whether that's go outside in this crazy blustery wind, um, whatever it is, move my body and my thoughts will transition. And it does work for me. So it continues to be an ongoing effort for me. Today, what might be a great day to go outside and imagine that crazy blustery wind blowing away any negative thoughts that you have, because man, it is windy enough that if our thoughts could blow away, today's the day they're going to blow away. I was walking one of the dogs this morning. We didn't walk very far, but there was a gust of wind and I was like, I'm going to take flight. That's what is about to happen. So be safe out there, especially if you're driving. Look out for trees and unstable old trees and that kind of thing. So that's what I've got today. Thanks so much for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.